So when you say disruptive stuff, what do you mean exactly?
Well,
Give me an example. If I had a 2% budget, what do I spend that 2%
First of all,
for?
the most important thing, in my humble opinion, having been at this for almost 2 decades, everyone in this room can do is make sure your procurement process is actually a procurement process. It's not, we buy the software from my buddy, my friend, my cousin, or my local provider who may be more likable.
As the Russians do, I imagine.
But it's not just, look, Palantir, we fought the US government for nearly a decade, including going to court. Most important people in the world came into my office, which was modest at the time, and said, quite literally, some people will conclude that you're an asshole if you sue the US government. By the way, we sued the US government not to buy Palantir, but to have a procurement process where they acquire software, not a large tender from lobbyists. This is one of the most important things we ever did as a company, because it wasn't set up to help us. It was set up to make sure that software is not just a spend item, essentially welfare to local industry. And in war, your ability to use, what does it mean to use software? How do you control your special operators? Where do they go? Where do they leave? Do they get the SIGINT information while they're on the battlefield or while they're not on the battlefield? Do you get information from space? Does that information from space provided to the people doing the actual operation? Can you disrupt the information flow of the adversary? Can you map their information flow? Can you do, it's one of the really interesting things is people assume people like in this room and civil libertarians are misaligned. Actually, very much aligned, because if you're working in complicated environments, only very few people can actually know the battle plan. That's called data protection. And that data protection has to be done in the most granular way, a way that can be made transparent internally, but not externally. These things are information technologies, and the West has an enormous advantage over the East. Why? Because if you're going to build a company, you're not going to build it in a country where the company will be taken over by the government the minute it's successful. And quite frankly, we in the West, for all of our problems, are blessed with the strongest technological centers in the world. Fortunately or unfortunately, mostly in the West Coast of the USA.